Welcome to Moving for Smarties. I'm your host, Mariette Frey, and we have officially rebranded. We are in our brand new studio, which is super exciting. And I wanted to go back a little bit and give you some history. So I'm not archiving Mariette's on the Move or Moving Tips and Tricks as it was known for like a season. Um, because I think there's still a lot of information and great interviews that we did in that podcast. But what I wanted to do was take it from an interview based show and switch it up and make it a solo show. So I know a lot of people like to listen to podcasts like I do. I'm an OG podcast listener, but there are also a lot of people that watch podcasts on YouTube. And to be completely candid, I had started writing a digital course many moons ago, like 3 years ago, which is probably like 5 or 6 moves ago. I don't know. And every time I would move, I'd be like, oh, I got to remember to tell them to do this, or oh, this was the worst, or oh my gosh, this was so great. I wish I would have done this in like my other 20 moves that I made. So I have taken the digital course that I had started creating a long time ago and never finished because I have an entire graveyard of digital courses. If you're anything like me, you get 1 or 2 modules in and you're like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to do the rest of this like Saturday. And then like 3 Saturdays go by and I completely forgot about the digital course. And then like somebody will remind me of it and I'll be like, oh, I got to go back to that. I have that. So I didn't want that for you. But what I did want to do is shift from an interview based podcast because when I'm interviewing someone else, they become the subject matter expert. And not to say that I want to always be the SME, or they call it in my technology industry. But I have a lot of stories to tell you. And I want to go deeper into the Fred framework, which when I'm interviewing someone, I can't really do or I don't want to do because I want to hear all of their good information. So I think there's a lot of value in the 60 plus episodes that we had prior to this one. But from here on out, we are going to be moving for Smarties. And it's all about exploration, right? I think that the one piece of data that people miss when they're moving is that it's so super stressful because they don't have enough data to prove why they should be moving or why they should be staying. Like it says behind me, should I stay or should I go? So I decided to take a step back and take all of the content that I had created for the digital course and turn it into bingeable playlists, right? I like to watch things on YouTube. I like to binge on Netflix. And so I was like, you know what? If we made these into bite sized chunks in the Fred framework itself, and then add a couple, categories like, just logistics in general. Like there's, a ton of stuff. Like you can go onto Pinterest, you can go onto Google, ChatGPT, whatever you want, and you can ask all the logistics questions in the world, right? And I have interview episodes with, real life moving companies and in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration division chief. I mean, I've got so many interviews with like experts in their field in the first couple seasons of Marriott's on the Move and Moving Tips and Tricks. But what I wanted to do, and I'll put those in a playlist and I'll shorten them down a little, give you like the bite-sized version of it. I also wanted to do a playlist of like moving in your 20s, moving in your 30s, moving in your 40s, moving in your 50s, moving in your 60s and beyond. Because quite frankly, depending on what, you know, period of life you're in, that season is going to bring different things in a move than, when you're 40 and have children versus when you're 20 and just getting out of college and don't have a whole lot. So there's lots of fun things that we're going to do. I promise you, I will sprinkle in some interviews because I know those are fun to listen to. But for the most part, what we're going to do is we're going to drop an episode or two a week. It's going to go into the playlist. So finances will have its own playlist. Robustness, so think mental and physical strength, they'll have their own playlist. Ecosystem, so the community you're moving from and the community you're moving to, that's going to have its own playlist. And then dreams, of course, which is the big one, right? So as a life coach, I get people unstuck. Part of that is really digging deep into what that dream is. Like, what does the end game look like, right? So if I'm working with you as your coach, which, by the way, we are opening up the coaching practice again. It is going to be limited. I am only going to be able to take 8 candidates all together, and I want to make sure it's a good fit because I'm going to have a lot of free content that you can jump into. You don't necessarily need to do the coaching program, but some people want that one-on-one life coaching slash relocation slash career coaching that is in the program. So that'll all be on my website and you can go look further into it. But what I want to do is be able to have these playlists be kind of bingeable. So we are going to also follow Kate. So there's somebody that I coached that had this really cool story, and we did a lot of, experimenting when we were working together. And Kate herself is not going to come on the show. Kate is actually not even her real name, but it was too good not to share, right? So I created kind of her journey in ways that we can maybe take a look at your life and compare. And you can just insert whatever job that you want to do and whatever city you want to be in, and kind of use the same tactics that we use that actually worked. I don't know why I say that in a surprising manner, because of course it works. I've been using it for a long time. So the Fred framework is going to be the basis of the playlists. And we are going to start with relocation. I am probably going to sprinkle some career stuff in there because most likely, if you're moving to a new state or a new city, you're going to have to change jobs. And that always comes up whenever I'm coaching around relocation. And so it's just kind of natural to talk about it. So, really, the first part of what we're talking about in the playlist, and you guys, I have like something like 57 videos that I'm in the process of producing and filming. Um, so there's going to be a lot per playlist. So you won't get bored at all. And they're all going to be in 5 to 7 minute chunks because that's about my attention span. And yeah, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about like the actual stuff in those. We'll sprinkle in some interviews, and I'm gonna have obviously Kate's journey, and then we'll kind of transition probably more to career coaching because once we start getting people into the community that I'm creating, which I haven't talked a whole lot about, so I am actually creating this community where you can go in and you can find people from your own cities. We're going to have the city spotlights early on in Mariette's on the Move, like the podcast when I first started it. I had a couple real estate agents come on and we did kind of a city spotlight. I had like an influencer from Charlotte come on to talk about all the cool things that were happening in Charlotte. But what I found was I really wanted, I don't know, people had questions. I wasn't able to get questions in front of those real estate agents, like from the people who wanted to move all over, because I didn't have a community to draw from really at the time. And now we're kind of building that. So if you follow me on social media, I'm mostly on Instagram. Man, it's late. I'm tired. Um, Mostly on Instagram, but I also have a big presence on LinkedIn. So, from a professional perspective, I'm a sales executive for a global technology company. And that's kind of where my history has, come from. So, I've always, been in the technology space. I've lived obviously all over the country. I've moved 20 times in the last 24 years to 6 of America's top cities. And my moving journey has come full circle. So, I'm back in Chicago. I'm back home where, I'm meant to be. um, but what I envision this community to look like is, we have a lot of people join who want to live all over the country. We've got those real estate agents coming in and maybe doing some city spotlights, talking about their state, their city. The thing is that a real estate agent cannot give you certain information. So you legally it is illegal to give you certain information. So if you talk to a property manager, if you talk to a real estate agent, they can't say like, yeah, this is a great neighborhood or no, this is not a good neighborhood. I wouldn't live here, but I can. And I'm also going to give you some prompts in Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever you use to actually, figure that stuff out. But we are going to talk about all the things, right? It's something I'm super excited about. I think that eventually in the community we'll have live meetups. That's my goal for next year. Not so much this year because I am still building a lot of things and, traveling for my real job. I mean, not that this isn't my real job, but this is my fun job. Um, So yeah, that being said, like I envision this community to grow so large that at some point, we will have people that like if you have to pack in a hurry, we'll have, packers and people to help you or unpackers or, like whatever your, joy is. Like I had a conversation last year in Atlanta with this woman who loves to help people pack, just like me. And the guy that was sitting across the table from us, like, hates packing, but loves to unpack. And I was like, we could have packers and unpackers, which we'll probably need a better name for that because, like, I don't know, it just doesn't sound great. But that's what I envision. Like, we have meetups where you can meet people in your city that you're going to move to when you're doing a city proof of concept or a city POC, as I call it. Um, there's a lot of things that I want to kind of like spend some time on, and I can't really do that when I'm interviewing someone else. So, like I said, I'll sprinkle in a couple interviews. I might even take some of the old interviews and put it into the new Moving for Smarties YouTube channel. This is going to be a very video heavy YouTube, show, but obviously I'm going to entertain you through audio as well. And hopefully it is entertaining and hopefully it is fun. And you know what? If it doesn't really land and people don't love it, then it'll be a limited edition. But 22 million people move a year. 7 to 8 million of those people move across state lines. And there are so many crazy scams and things that happen out there. I'm constantly getting tagged on social media. I've talked to a lot of people who have been scammed. I've helped them figure out how to file a claim, get the police involved. There's all kinds of things that you need to do. And I genuinely feel like there is not enough information out there. So I applaud the journalists that are talking about moving. I'm actually going to start writing some articles as well. I've had a couple publications that I've, reached out to. There's just a lot that needs to be said that nobody's really talking about. There's like a moving mafia. Like I don't even want to say that loud because I don't want them to come after me. Um, but there's crime rings and there's all kinds of just like in any industry, there's crime, right? And we're no different in the moving industry. I just don't want to move anymore for a while. I really like my house and I like my neighborhood and it's really nice to like not have a move on the books this year or think about. I mean, I'm always going to think about where I could move next, always. Um but I think that, like, my moving cross state lines, those days are done for a long time. So I'm going to wrap this up. I know, it's a departure from where we were with the interviews, but I think you'll really enjoy doing these short episodes. Um, tell me what you want to hear. I have the Monday mailer. If you sign up for my mailer, that goes out. I also have on LinkedIn a newsletter called Life in Transition. So it doesn't matter if you're, transitioning from one job to another, from, being single to married, being, married to divorced, or moving from a city or state to a different city or state. Like life, transitioning in life in general is a very it's just so tough on our bodies, on our brains, on everything. And I think that the more you can kind of gather data and tricks and things that you can do to like help yourself, help outsmart your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that says, we're in danger. We don't know what's happening next. Stop. Don't do, don't go anywhere. I think that that is the part that I'm appeasing to. But I think ultimately I want to serve my community. I want to serve you and I want to know what you want to hear about. And I think that there is so much that, people just don't think about when they're moving. And it's not just the cost. I mean, it's like everything from gosh, like how to, pack efficiently to, what happens if you just wait 6 more months? What happens if you just have a little bit more time under your belt in the place that you're staying and like you have this little secret and you're exploring and, like there's all kinds of things that we can talk about. Now I feel like I'm rambling. So if you know me, that's a normal thing. Um yeah, what else? I think that's it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I want you to be a part of my journey. That's why I want to hear from you. I would love for you to, join the community. It is the Smart Move Society. I've always wanted to be a part of a society, and I didn't have the IQ to get into the really smart ones, but this is the society that I have developed that I want you to be a part of. It's free. If you go through a coaching program, we're going to do like a VIP experience part of the community that you can only get to if you go through the coaching program. But all of that stuff is going to be on my website. It is true life coaching. I am a certified life coach. So it is based all on life coaching with a relocation and career flair, I guess. So anyway, thanks for joining the show today. Thank you for being on this journey with me and onward moving smarty. I hope we can do this together.